7-Step Happiness Mastery System. My name is Mitch Deutsch, and I'm going to be your coach and mentor for the next 7 steps. We're going to spend so much time together really looking at how to renew your life to a place perhaps that you never thought possible. I call it our Happiness Heroes Freedom Revolution for good reason. It really did change my life in such a dramatic way. The things that I've went through that I'm going to share with you today. We're going to look at the 7 life-changing steps that will transform you from your own pain and struggle to a sense of joy, thriving, well-being, and peace of mind. And you're only one step away from taking back your life and transforming it forever. So I welcome you, and I'm grateful for you being here today. So let's first give thanks for being here together. This is me time and us time. I want you to get relaxed. I want you to feel that you have the courage and the willingness to go forward to really take and embrace your life and make the changes that are necessary to finally get you through whatever pain and struggle you're going through to where we would like you to go, which is a place of freedom. So let's talk about what's going to be covered in the next 7 steps. First, we're going to take a hard look at where you are in your life today. Where are your pain and struggles? Where are your issues? What is it you would like to be achieving that you're not? And what's getting in the way of you doing so? And then I'm going to take you through a series of exercises that will help you to reframe your life from where it is to where you really want to and need to give yourself permission to go. We're going to look at a whole variety of options and alternatives to changing. There's so many wonderful ways out now today to take that pain and struggle and turn it into empowerment and a sense of joy and accomplishment and true success. Next, we're going to talk about how to really rethink what success is in your life, to redefine it so that you really build a base or a basic architecture for your emotional, psychological, your mental, and your physical well-being, and of course, imbuing that with a sense of spiritual internal satisfaction that will lead you to a whole different level of success in your life. And as science will show you, true success comes from being happy, being balanced, having a full life, living in the flow of your life, leads to much greater things on the external side, which we're going to spend some time with. And we're going to really focus on reframing the way you've been living to where you would like to be living. And we're going to get a sense of revisiting who you really are, what makes you tick, and what is necessary for you to get to that point where true happiness, fulfillment, productivity, and being able to thrive in a way you've not known before will take you. So let's talk about what you need to prepare for success. Some of these things are obvious, but nevertheless, we want to be able to talk them through. First is what I call how. You need to have a sense of honesty with yourself, with me, with the fellows you're going to meet in this program, and a sense of open-mindedness to think what's possible, willingness, of course, to take action, and you need to be accountable. Desire and courage is essential for any change, fundamental good change to take place in your life. I'd suggest you have both a notebook or a journal and some kind of writing utensil because we have a number of exercises to take you through. And finally, I want you to have a strong belief that you can do anything, belief in yourself and your abilities. And finally, I want you to be able to just, think about it, making this a fun process, not just an exercise in having to sweat through the details. But, I want you to look at this as a great opportunity to have an experience in your life that you've never had before. So I want to share with you my love for life. I want to share with you how others have gotten a love for their life and so many incredible, splendid gifts that come along with it. And lastly, I want you to give yourself permission to have this time together, you and I, with no distractions. So put the cell phones away, shut down anything that's not necessary, give yourself a quiet place to be, and let's really enjoy and grow together. So who am I? My pen name as an author is M. Fenton Deutsch. My real name, of course, is Mitch. I go by Mitch, Coach Mitch. So let me tell you a little bit about myself. I've been a best-selling author on Amazon for the last few years. I've written 3 new books this past year, a new one coming up this year, and several that are scheduled for the forthcoming year. I also wrote my first book when I was 25. So I've had some experience writing as a journalist and as an author for many years. I'm an incurable entrepreneur. I've had 12 businesses over the course of my lifetime, and love the challenge of trying new things. Um, but I am fundamentally a life coach today. It's where I spend most of my time, and I've been trained in several different approaches, from results, strategic intervention, and transformational life coaching. I work with adults, children with issues. There's a lot of self-esteem issues, relationship and love issues, and I also work with entrepreneurs and businesses. So I've had a broad experience working in the coaching arena. It's a here and now kind of an approach versus therapy, which goes back to try to cure some of the ills of the past and ways of coping with life today. It's really been a wonderful new leg of my life, and I'm just thrilled to be able to share that. I've learned a lot about happiness through my own path in life, and I'm going to share that with you over the course of the next 10 or so hours. And I am absolutely your devoted and humble host. I come here today with a great deal of devotion to my trade, to what I do for a living, and a great deal of humility from what I've learned. So why A Course in Happiness? Kind of an odd thing. It's been the catchphrase lately. For years, most of the research was done on depression and anxiety. Actually, 2 times the amount of research has been done on all the maladies that we experience in life, but very little has been done on the world on happiness or emotional well-being. And that's changed. In the last several years, there's been a dearth of new research. We're going to share that with you in step 2B. First, though, I think it would be fair to say that we're living in tough times. People are starving for happiness and are looking for something different. We all have a need for the same thing as human beings: sense of belonging, love, validation, connection to other people. Not always so easy, not always so easy to feel okay in your own skin, to feel as if you're really accomplishing what your true purpose is in life, and that it gives you a sense of meaning that's very deep. It's not always easy to not feel that sense of validation in your life, that you're okay with who you are. Perhaps that was something you experienced as a kid. Maybe it was something that you experienced today as an adult, in a relationship or otherwise. Maybe you're in the profession you love to be in. Maybe you feel that there's a sense of emptiness inside. We're going to focus on all of those issues and talk about ways to get through them. We're taught happiness incorrectly is all about acquiring success through things, money, and notoriety, and it's just not true. Those things never made me happy, and I think that it would be fair to say that most people never really become happy by acquiring wealth or getting big houses or focusing on ego-oriented things. They may seem really great at the time, but the truth is that true happiness has nothing to do with external things. It is an inside job. And clearly, quick fixes don't really do the job. So what I call Band-Aids don't work like diets. It's the yo-yo way of trying to heal yourself. Real happiness, real sense of well-being comes from healing and comes from cleaning up our past, and it comes from really rebuilding the way we process our world. And finally, we need to treat the whole person. So this is not just a piece of the whole of a puzzle, but it's really the whole puzzle that we're looking at. It is really redoing our architecture and blueprint for living. So we're focusing on solutions and not just problems and symptoms. So, happiness is not a simple thing. It's not just taking a pill, or going to a therapist, but it really is rethinking all the different elements of your life. And there's so many different spokes that contribute to that, from our relationships to how we process our emotional life, to how we take care of our physical self, how we take care of our psychological self, inner peace, our sense of self-esteem and self-image, our spiritual practice, if we have one, our connection to a higher power, how we self-care, how we take care of ourselves, how we take time out, our family structure, our profession, how we take time off, and how we spend our time with experiences with people, and the quality of our relationships and really being alive. So there's so many elements to overall happiness. There is no magic cure pill or thing. It really is a what I call an ecosystem. So some things, big things we're going to be tackling together today. In this first overview, I ask you this: who or what's stopping you from being your best self? And I think it's something you really have to take the time to think about. What is it that's been holding you back all these years from being your authentic, true, incredible self and living the life that you've always thought would be possible, but for whatever reason hasn't happened yet? And then I ask you to ask yourself, who's behind this unhappiness veil? What's going on inside of you? What's making you tick in a way that is not really satisfying your true needs? What is your story to yourself and others? What is it you tell yourself? What is it you tell others? Is it based on fact? Is it based on feeling? And we're going to see how we actually learn to challenge and change the way we tell our story and actually get a better sense of what our true story is. Are you feeling a little empty inside? Is there a hole in your soul? Is it a part of your life that perhaps was never addressed? Maybe you grew up in a religious practice but didn't really ever feel fulfilled. Do you have issues with self-confidence and self-esteem? A lot of us do. And certainly if we don't have a lot of issues, we can always use more self-confidence, self-esteem, and sense of empowerment. Are we looking for validation as human beings? Were we validated as kids that we were okay with who we were? Were our parents giving us that sense of that things are going to be okay and that we're good enough? Are we feeling unloved and alone? Is isolation and loneliness a big part of our story? Do we live in a sense of negative self-talk? Do we struggle with a lot of fear, guilt, shame, and remorse? So are we living in the past? Are we fearing the future? So my goal is to help you turn your struggle into meaning and purpose. And there's a whole process to doing that. It means rethinking a lot of things. And let's talk about what success is in your life. What does success mean for you? Let's talk about that. So what is the big result that will come as a result of you doing this program? I talk about thinking big, but there are certain things that I expect that you will be able to look forward to and begin to experience in a fairly short period of time. Though with practice, it gets better and deeper. There is no destination. This is a journey that we're on. So we're beginning our journey by learning a bunch of new tools, rethinking the way we've seen our world and we process the world. And I'd like you to think that there is a place called permanent happiness, and it truly is different than what we typically experience in pain and struggle. I'm going to expect that you're going to find that there's a whole new way to process your life. So there's a transformation internally in the way you deal with your emotional, psychological, and spiritual well-being. I'm looking at habit change to occur in as little as 21 days if you do practice the tools that we talk about here. And I ask you if you've made your decision yet to move forward, to be free of the past, to give yourself permission to live your life at its fullest. So we all know unhappiness. Obviously, you have some reason for being here and for purchasing this course. I'd like to say that probably some of the bigger stressors, some of the biggest indicators of unhappiness are anxiety, depression, stress, burnout, sadness. If those are things you're experiencing, you're not alone. 2.5 billion people worldwide experience these things to some degree chronically. Perhaps you've known a lot of anger from pain, frustration, resentment. Perhaps you have a lack of self-esteem issues, self-image, self-worth, and validation, as we talked about earlier. And maybe loneliness, hopelessness, you feeling empty inside are issues that we all know. Always wanting something different than what we have. We're never happy with what we have today. And we don't live life on life's terms. We don't accept life the way it is. We always want something different, better, greater, just not what we got. So what does unhappiness mean to you? It means a lot of things to a lot of people. So some ideas would be peace of mind, serenity, career and professional success, lots of money and things, accumulation of material things. Maybe it means having a lot of strong family connections, many friends, maybe your best lover or partner or significant other. Maybe it's a great marriage, children, family. Maybe it means quality time or freedom. Maybe it means looking great to other people. Maybe it's getting to know yourself and your true purpose, or just finding some sense of meaning in your life. What does happiness mean to you? So I'd ask you to write it down, take a moment, stop the program for a moment, and give yourself a moment to think about what happiness means to you. So happiness is a lot of things to a lot of people. One of the best definitions of happiness is from an author, a Harvard University professor, Sean Achor, who's done some amazing work in the happiness field. And he teaches a course on happiness at Harvard, which is now the most popular course at Harvard University. Not economics, not history, not law. It is happiness, because so many people who are in school today are so pressured and feel such a sense of loss that they can't find something more than just performing, academically, that they're looking for something different. So he has done a great job with this definition. Happiness is the joy we feel striving for our potential. Includes the positive emotions of joy, gratitude, serenity, interest, hope, pride, amusement, inspiration, awe, and love. Happiness is even more than a good feeling. It is also an indispensable ingredient of our success. And I think that, for me, is one of the best definitions I've ever seen of happiness. It includes a lot of, internal experiences, emotional, psychological experiences, but it's also a lot more than that. People are only as happy as they want to be, says Abe Lincoln. Very historical perspective. Expressions of happiness by people like us. They're moments of joy that we experience on a regular basis. So Andrew talks about singing to my dogs every morning, or watching the sun creep out of the water as it rises into a new day, Julia, or celebrating just because. Why not? Watching a kid with giggles and then getting them yourself, or perhaps the sunshine is an old friend that makes me always feel good about who I am. So there are many little things that occur that give us a sense of joy and peace, escape from our momentary sense of angst and stress and anxiety. So it's not just a fleeting moment, though. However, it's being present for your life, and that is truly where we're going to be going in these 7 steps: is learning how to be present, learning how to experience life today, learning how not to be living in the past or fearing the future, but learning how to be mindful of all the richness that goes on in your life, and also repairing the things that don't work anymore, whether it be professionally speaking or personally or relationally. There's so many elements to this program that you'll find intriguing. I personally know a lot about unhappiness, and this will be a big part of my why. And I also know a lot about unhappiness and happiness. So I've struggled most of my life. I've had a lot of anxiety. I grew up in a high anxiety family. I struggle with depression, with addiction, you name it. I've been through it. I've been through the ringer. I didn't really think I know who I really truly was. I had a feeling I knew parts of myself, but I didn't really know what it is that I was supposed to be accomplishing in life, what success meant. For me, what I ended up accomplishing was very different than what I've now come to know. My battle with unhappiness nearly killed me. With addiction, with depression, suicidal feelings, I went through the ringer, and I've come out on the other side really free from most of my past, in a good way, and living in a thriving in a different place in my life. So from desperation, in my 50s, really building up through my 40s, I chose to be happy, and it is a choice. All I wanted was to be successful, wealthy, and happy. I thought that was where it was at. So, I went to college, took many, many additional courses and certifications. I worked 60 to 80 hours a week for most of my 20s and 30s, and even part of my 40s. I mean, I really put in the time, and I put in the effort. I climbed the corporate ladder, and I became quote unquote successful. So I did my time in the corporate world and moved through the ranks. I got married to a wonderful woman. Lived in a big house, built had many houses, had 3 beautiful children, and acquired a lot of things over the years. So by all trappings of what we think is to grow up as success, meaning of success, I thought I had arrived. So I had all the trappings of a successful life, but the truth is, that wasn't really true. So what does that mean here? I had tremendous success as a young author, When I was 25, I wrote a book on doing business with the Japanese. I was the ad director at Sony. I introduced the Walkman, the boombox, done a lot of really cool things. Built the first books on tape or audio publishing company, which was sold to Warner Communications. I lived in a big house, had the cars, all the bling, all the things. Never really truly made me happy. What is success to you? Again, I have to ask you to come back to that question. Is it wealth, money? Is it profession? Is it climbing the ladder? Is it having a lot of money in the bank? What does it mean to you? Thought I was perfectly married and I had a great family, and I do have a beautiful family. It just didn't work out that way. So, I didn't live happily ever after, and the fairy tale didn't come true for me. Although certainly, I grew tremendously through my 25 years of marriage. What's wrong with this picture, man? Why was I always looking depressed as a kid and never smiling? What was really going on with me? So no matter what I had, I still struggled, and nothing ever seemed to make me happy. I always wanted things to be different, better. Whatever I had, it was never enough. When I succeeded in one thing, and I was successful maybe in selling a business, or I had gotten a big raise, or I sold a good real estate deal, whatever the case is, I just, it was great at the moment, but then I wanted more. I wanted something different. And finally, after not really achieving what I thought I was supposed to be achieving in life, I took a great fall. And a lot of things changed in my life, and it was a devastating time for me. I finally had a coming to Jesus moment, so to speak, where I looked at myself in the mirror and I got honest. And, this definition by Einstein of definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. That truly was me. I kept trying and trying and trying, repeatedly to get to where I thought I needed to go, and it just never produced the results I was looking for. It finally occurred to me that I didn't have to do this anymore. I didn't have to keep pushing the way I was pushing, and trying to achieve something that was really unattainable in the first place, and that I had all along. I just didn't understand it. So I finally looked at myself in the mirror. I asked myself, who am I? And this is what happened. So in 1950, when I was 56 years old, this is how I looked. I really needed to change everything. I was near death. I gained over 100 pounds. Was not a pretty time for me in my life. So at age 55 and at age 61, these are the things that happened. I was 310 pounds. I'm now below 200 pounds. I lost over 100 pounds by changing everything in my life. I was on 15 different medications, anxiety medication, you name it. I'm now medication free. I was walking with a cane, couldn't even walk a block or get on a bike. I work out 5 days a week. I don't want to say I'm totally buff, but I'll say it anyway. I look a lot better. I was a workaholic, and today I'm doing what I love. My life is in balance and fulfilled. I was addicted to pretty much everything. I had an addiction of more. Today I'm substance free. I'm really truly free of my major addictions. And, I thought that a lot of people didn't like me, my kids and my ex-wife. Today I've really focused on the healing with family and friends. I'm in love again. I feel wonderful. I just can't tell you how delighted I am to even be able to be here to talk about this stuff. I have a lot of isolation and loneliness in my life. When I was younger, today I have many, many wonderful relationships, both professionally and at home. I was angry and burnt out. Today I'm just in the flow of my life, and it's been a blessing. I was a couch potato. I do a lot of spiritual work and take care of myself in a good way. I was very sad and mad, to say the least, and today I'm just so grateful to be alive. I love my life. I am at peace. So my why was really seen and evidenced last year when I started to really think about what I wanted to do with the rest of my life and how I was going to create that sense of meaning that I was living in my purpose. And I wrote 3 new books, 3 Amazon bestsellers, Getting Happy, which is one of the books we offer today for free, that we ship to you, is #1 Amazon bestseller. How to Love Yourself, about self-esteem and validation. And I wrote a book that I give away as part of my life coaching practice, Top 10 Reasons Why People Fail to Recover from Addiction. So my own pain and struggle has really defined my new purpose, which is to love, to give, and to help others, to serve. I really believe that I'm here to serve today and not just be a taker. I've surrendered and discovered my path in life, and it's been a blessing. My dream is to make 1 million people and maybe 10 million people happier, and to bring a sense of happiness and fulfillment to those people that struggle in the world. So um, our mission is to help 1 million people like you to build their own happiness architecture in the next 2 years. We've committed to helping people who love success become more successful and happier by learning the tools, strategy, and the tactics to win in business and life. To work hard, get happier, and increase your success and live well. That is my mission. And I'm glad to be able to share that with you today, and I hope that you're one of them. Depression, anxiety, addiction, suicide, loneliness at an all-time high. So let's just take a look at where things have been for many, many people in the world. 65% of Americans say they're unhappy and lonely. That's pretty staggering. 2.5 billion people worldwide are clinically depressed and anxious. Addiction, suicide, divorce, the destruction of the family is at an all-time high. More teenagers than ever are struggling with depression and anxiety and suicide. It's epidemic. ER visits due to overdoses are up nearly 40% in 2017 alone. So our young are being slaughtered by the disease of addiction, by just general unhappiness and anxiety in life. Again, the two most popular courses at Harvard and Yale today, and now a number of other universities are introducing it, are courses on happiness. What does that tell you? Over $1 trillion is spent annually on antidepressants and psych meds. So rather than buffering people from clinical depression, increased wealth and prosperity as a society seems to foster it. We're really living in very difficult, stressed out times. Psychotherapy, medicine, and meds deal with the symptoms, but not the causes. Today, we're here to focus on the causes and to focus on rethinking the way we live our lives. So first, why are so many people just so unhappy? I think it would be fair to say that we've lost our sense of humanity. So many souls are struggling and alone in today's world. Our leaders have lost touch, perhaps not just in America, but in other countries, with what is really important, what it is that we're here to be doing as human beings, how do we better serve each other and ourselves. There's so much strife, so much divisiveness, so many walls have been put up that just make it difficult for us to connect. Our families and tribes have disappeared in a very, very me and I and me over us and a very selfish, kind of self-centered world. So the purpose of being part of something greater than ourselves has really become a thing of the past, unfortunately and sadly. Success is often a lie. I think we've all seen what that struggle looks like. A sense of belonging, of validation, love and compassion and empathy is so hard to find these days. And finally, our shattered self-esteem, self-worth will result in both self-pity and hopelessness. And we've lost a lot of hope as a society. The 7 things that you need to know if you're not happy, typical signs. 1, you don't quit a job you hate. Why? 2, you don't get rid of the negativity in your life. You hang on to it, you cling to it. 3, you let doubt and fear keep you stuck. You're sitting in the negative. 4 is you put off the hard choices for another day. 5, you stay in a toxic or unsatisfying relationship. 6, maybe you act out behaviorally, or you act out with substances such as drugs and alcohol. And 7 is that you are just feeling lonely and unfulfilled. All clear signs that you are struggling with unhappiness. Time for change? I think so. New rituals, routines, new ways of thinking about your life and actually taking them. So we're now going to embark on our program, 7 steps to a sense of happiness. And let me define to you what those steps are. First, I want you to think about embracing the need to make a decision and to give yourself permission to be happy and change. That is fundamental. Most of us don't feel comfortable or living in fear and can't make that decision. So I'm going to talk about what it means to make a decision, what it means to make choices in your life, and how to move through that pain and fear. And we're going to master our happiness through really understanding the science of happiness and what it can teach us. There's 210 incredible tools that we can use today that weren't really known to society prior. I'd like to share those with you. We're going to learn a variety of new life skills that will help you rethink your relationships, the way you deal with yourself, deal with others, deal with work, deal with your sense of emotional and psychological balance. We're going to explore a variety of ways to overcome roadblocks and overcome adversity in your life. And we're going to focus in step 4 on healing and repairing your past and that pain and that fear. We're going to look then to restructure when we think about how we have relationships in our lives, how to fortify them, how to build loving relationships and healthy relationships that last forever. And we're going to, in step 6, begin what will hopefully fortify what you may have now as your spiritual journey. And if you don't have one, we're going to introduce a number of new tools that will help you to feel fulfilled from the inside out. One of those elements will be learning how to get out of self and self-centeredness. And finally, in step 7, we're going to learn how to practice these tools, strategies, and techniques for life, for staying successful and happy. So here we are today on our 7-step happiness mastery system. And on the other side, we are going to meet again and focus on step 1, which is making a decision to change your life and become the person that you believe you were meant to be. I thank you. I look forward to sharing this with you going forward. It has been a pleasure, and I look forward to spending the next 10 or so hours with you as we learn some new skills and ways to live.